Izan Kikugawa's painting of the Sumida River after the 1812 fire in Shin Yoshiwara does in fact reflect Japanese culture during its time period, by reflecting society, government, and different elements of culture through the artwork's features. Main elements in Japanese culture were the courtesans, the samurai, and the combination of nature, society, and politics. All were reflected in the artwork to provide the viewer with a window into the culture. At the time, Japan had a military government, with Tokugawa Ieyasu in power. Society followed many trends, both in clothing and in types of work. It was highly regarded to be a prostitute for upper-class men, or courtesan, because they wore the latest fashion styles and socialized with samurai and government officials. Samurai were also highly regarded and served those in power. They were treated with respect and dignity and were entertained by courtesans. Politics were reflected on through art, and many paintings gave us a sense of what people thought of those in power.
The courtesans were very sophisticated women, who additionally served as icons. They were always seen wearing the latest fashions. The clothing they wore reflected traditional Japanese attire. Most clothing worn by women were made of silk that displayed intricate patterns. Seen in many different degrees of culture were dragons, which were very popular and influential in both the arts and clothing. To match their detailed clothing, courtesans also wore their hair in intricate ways. Major articles of clothing that all Japanese women wore were the kimono and wooden sandals known as geta. This was a significant highlight in the Japanese culture. Courtesans were all trained in the arts, which were a large part of their public and private lives. One instrument the courtesans played was the shamisen, which is a large string instrument. These instruments accompanied many dances performed by the women. Calligraphy and painting were both highlighting cultural factors in Japan, and were activities the courtesans also enjoyed. A very sophisticated event that was acquired from China in the 8th century was the tea ceremony, illustrated in different artistic forms. The main occupation of a courtesan was their role as prostitutes for upper-class men and the samurai. Contrary to the occupations of the geishas, courtesans did not entertain or stimulate their male customers through conversation. The courtesans created a place of government-sanctioned leisure, relaxation, and sexual freedom. Through this, the image of a floating world, known as ukiyo-e, was created.
The samurai class is another key element in Japanese culture. The samurai were high-class warriors that served government officials and the emperor in Japan. They received many different privileges in society, such as being able to carry 2 swords around in public. The rank of a samurai gave them different privileges in battle, such as being able to ride on horseback and command the army. One thing mandatory for the samurai was following the warrior's code, which stressed family honor and told the warriors to do all of the family customs. Honor was a key element in the culture of Japan and the samurai. A loss in battle was considered a disgrace to the family name and to the country. The only way to restore family honor was seppuku, a ritualistic suicide that proved a warrior's courage. The samurai also influenced arts in Japan by posing in woodblock ink paintings, as well as creating their own type of art, kendo, a martial art that teaches people the ways of the samurai. Samurai posing in woodblock paintings tended to be warlords who always were portrayed in uniform.
Nature, society, and politics were 3 of the main parts of Japanese culture, and they were clearly conveyed through art. Izan Kikugawa's painting shows these 3 elements and also connects traditional and evolving culture. Many paintings of the time held political significance in the sense that they subtly reflect on the government of the time and major political figures. Kikugawa's is no exception because it shows the connections between the traditional capital of Kyoto and the evolving capital of Tokyo. Kikugawa painted this on woodblock, and the flat artwork symbolizes a very direct view of the culture. What you see is what you get, and people took the paintings at face value. But the political messages were conveyed, however subtle, through the artwork. This gave artists a sense of freedom to publicly lash out at leaders and government, just as long as they kept it subtle enough not to be noticed by those in power, in this case, Tokugawa Ieyasu. The military government acted as a disconnection from tradition, and Kikugawa portrayed this by showing a split between the 2 riverbanks. One bank symbolizes the traditional, and the other symbolizes the evolving, and the disconnection between them, caused by the government, created the replacement of the traditional with the evolving.
Kikugawa's paintings had deep meanings in and of themselves, and only those who were knowledgeable in culture and skilled at analysis could discern them. The ukiyo-e, or floating world, was used heavily in woodblock paintings of the Edo period, but they had much deeper meanings to them. ukiyo-e was created to portray the younger generation of Japanese citizens and an evolving culture. Kikugawa uses ukiyo-e style to show that evolving culture was overtaking traditional culture and the government was throwing tradition away.